Hey, Bass Geek here, and this is not a bullshit buyer's guide. This is the Bass Geek Better Bass Angler Holiday Gear Guide, and I'm going to tell you everything that helped me catch bass this year, and that's it. Hey geeks, like I said, this is an OBS buyer's guide. This is what really worked for me. This is what I really used this year. It's what really helped me find and catch bass this year. We're going to keep everything condensed down. I'm not doing the whole 3-4 videos. I'm showing you what I liked, what worked for me, and what I enjoyed fishing this year. But if your significant other needs to buy you something, you can give them this one video on all kinds of holiday ideals. Let's start with rods and reels. I want to start on the budget friendly side. You guys know I'm a big TFO fan. That's what I've predominantly been using this year. I've really been trying to work out their offerings and seeing which types of rods I like. This is the Professional series. 99.9% of all my spinning rods are probably going to be some sort of 7-foot, 7.3, medium, fast action, medium light, fast action. So I'm not going to cover all that. This is the budget friendly series from TFO. It's made extremely well. I have fished this rod all season long. This is actually a Glue's Mock Crush. Guys, I'll just be honest with you. I beat my equipment up so you don't have to. I mean, I do. I beat it up, and these reels have held up for me. So the Mock Crush, to me, I think it's Glue's $100 offering, and it is a great reel. Now, this is a step up in price level and quality level. This is the Option Bass series. I love this gray color. I just think this is a beautiful rod. I cannot wait to get them to send me some more of these rods because they are gorgeous. Now, this reel is a good budget friendly reel. I think this is a $49 reel from Glue's. And guys, I'm not sponsored by Glue's. These are all reels that I've paid for myself. I'm just a big fan of Glue's, and this is just their standard speed spin. If I had one knock about this version is that this is a carbon or maybe just plastic body, and this little hole right here, when after you've used them for several years, and I've got a bunch of these and used them for a few years, if you lay on them, and I'm bad about it, I set the hook like I'm setting the hook when I'm flipping, even with a spinning reel. They will wear out right there. But a good budget friendly reel with great drag. That's why I like them. This is TFO's high-end option, and across the board, definitely one of my favorite rods, whether it be in the spinning or the casting, which we'll talk about next. This is the Resolve series. This is their high-end offering by TFO, and everything in it screams top quality. It's one of the best rod series I've ever put in my hand. Again, I'll put links down here to everything. They do a much better job at telling you about every bit of the components, but they are all top notch. Probably my favorite series overall when it comes to quality, when it comes to feel. They're extremely light, and I've caught a ton of fish on them. This is an Okuma ITX reel, which I have really fallen in love with. Very well made, great reel, great drag system. I really love the Okuma ITX series. These are the rods that you've seen me catch a ton of fish on this year. So now we're going to move over to bait casting combos, and you know, you can pair these up any way you want. This is, again, the budget-friendly version of TFO's offering. So this is the Professional. I'm a huge jerkbait angler, and I am extremely picky about my jerkbait rods. This is probably my favorite jerkbait rod that I've ever had. And you can get this rod, I think, for like 130 bucks. And I don't know what the sales are going to be as we go this year, but I'd say you're probably going to be able to get this rod cheaper than that, and it is phenomenal. I put a Okuma Hakai on here, which is a extremely good casting reel. All right, geeks, this is the mid-range, the kind of upper mid-range, and I love these rods. These are the Taction, newly redesigned. Again, you can only get them on their website. I've been fishing them for a little while, and as you can see, you know what this one is teamed up with. And they are color-coded for the action, so red. This is actually a medium heavy fast, and it will cast this a mile. It's got a great tip on it. It is a 7'3", which is also something I love. Got to be able to make those long casts to these fish out in this ultra clear water. And this thing is sensitive. Now, you're going to find it funny when I tell you the reel that I have teamed up with it. But I'm just a fan of the LFS. They're just a workhorse. And this reel right here, I mean, you can tell I've had it forever. You know, I beat the numbers off the dial on the side. It's just hard to beat this reel. All that being said, this is my mid-range combo. Like I say, you don't have to necessarily combo them up, but these are some great rods and reels to get out there and try. Now we talk about the high-end offering in the casting gear, and these things are super light. This is the Resolve series from TFO. I love these. This is a 7.4 heavy action. This is for my heavier swim baits, my big Magnum underspins, that sort of thing. They're so super sensitive. Like, I will tell you right now, any jig rod that I have in the boat, any worm rod that I have in the boat is absolutely going to be the Resolve. When I need to detect those super sensitive bites, the Resolve series is what I'm going to go to. Something that I've been trying out this year is the Arc. This is the Gravity, the G7. This is a 6.4. Man, these things are super impressive. Geeks, next we're going to start talking about the baits. These are the baits that I caught pretty much everything on, the majority of my bass this year. And you know, I had a pretty rough tournament season, but I'm telling you, once we got into my time, and my time is the summer. I love summer fishing. It's just where I seem to shine. Offshore, out deep, over deeper water. I've just been, that's just the way it's been for me since I can remember. You know, one of the things that have really been shining, we did a video about it earlier this year. We've done a couple of shorts on it, and that is the Prank from Booyah. Now this thing looks like a gimmick, but I'm telling you right now, it is anything but a gimmick. This thing can be fished as a wake bait, as a topwater popper, and you can swim it just underneath, just subsurface. I think they say 2 to 3 feet. I think 2 feet is about what you're gonna get out of it. And if those bass are unshore, this will make them positive. Next up, you know it's going to be my one knocker spook, guys, in the Pearl Melon. I mean, I throw a couple of other different colors depending on the lakes that I'm on, but in clear water, this thing is the money. Largemouth bass, clear water lakes, Pearl Melon, one knocker from Headon. Next up, you know it's going to be my spy bait from Duo Realis. This thing is money even in the clear water. And this is my favorite color. I think this is called Ghost Minnow. They make a lot of different sizes, a lot of different colors. Trust me, this thing will work when they are chasing shad. We're gonna put out a couple of different videos on some different ways that I fish it, especially in the fall. Don't know if we'll do it this year, but we'll definitely talk about it coming soon. You geeks know I'm a huge jerkbait fan. I've been a jerkbait fan forever, and this is one of my very, very favorites. This color right here, matte shad, this thing is money in clear water. I love it. The juniors, the junior plus, incredible in some clear water. And this is one of my other favorite colors. This is algae bone. Even with largemouth, I love a smallmouth, but even with largemouth, if they're down just a little bit deeper in clear water, that chartreuse belly will call them up. Another one of my favorites is the Rapala Shadow Wraps. The Shadow Wrap shads I love too, but these are my go-tos. The Shadow Wrap Deep and the Standard. I love the mega basses and they catch me a lot of fish, but these tend to catch bigger bass for me for whatever reason. Now, those mega bass are suspenders. These are slow sinks. And that's something that I love when I'm fishing over, say, deeper brush piles. And another trick with these, you can add a few suspend dots. I do it also, you'll notice it on some of my mega bass baits. You can add a few suspend dots, or you can put a little wire here. I like the suspend dots or the suspend strips better, and get it down a little deeper than you normally would. Now this is a little thing that I've been actually keeping under wraps until now, and this is from Bill Lewis, the same guys that make the traditional rattle trap, which I love. But what's great is this is a sinking bait, so it's got a little bit of weight to it. And what's great about it is these flat sides allow this bait to be really seen as it almost walks the dog underwater. So it is a pretty good bait when you're scoping over brush piles, deep brush piles. The bigger size, I think, contributes to really getting those fish to come up out of those brush piles to investigate what this bait is. Nichols spoons. These things are phenomenal. Now, I haven't caught a lot on the big spoons this year because I haven't been to the lakes where these big spoons really play, but I have caught a ton on this little spoon right here by Nichols. And I think this is a 4-inch, and you'll notice I've got a crank wrap on it. So this is standard, and they come in a lot of great patterns already, but where I've been fishing that super clear water, the crank wraps, spoon wraps are incredible. And this is a gizzard shad pattern, and trust me, when this bait goes in the water, those bass in that clear lake go crazy. They go crazy. So a flutter spoon isn't always about big giant hunks of metal. These puppies work, and to be honest with you, I don't know of anything that they focus on that they go as nuts over as they do these. Now we move into the soft plastic geeks, and probably one of my favorites is the Strike King caffeine shad in Ghost Minnow, and you can see it's extremely clear. It's almost just like a milky white. And the 4-inch, they make them in the 5-inch too. The 4-inch is really my go-to. Now this little bait, as I call them, the original swim bait or the grub, it's just been money this year, and it's starting to get the right time. I mean, it's always the right time for a grub in my opinion, but it's really starting to become the right time for the grubs. It's something that I'll put on a ball head and swim most of the time. I will use it to bounce on the bottom, but this next bait, I use a little more than that. I swim these 90% of the time. And this is, of course, the Rage in the 4-inch, which is my favorite size. These are the Rage Menace grubs, Menace crawls, I don't know what they call them, but I love these things. I love to swim them. I love to straight up Texas rig them. I love to put them on an Ed. You can do so much with them. I put them on a finesse buzz bait. You can put them on chatterbaits, turn them this way. You can put them on chatterbaits, turn them this way to keep it a little bit higher. Same with a buzz bait, a spinner bait, anything you want to do. This thing is such a diverse little tool. You can keep the tails together to, keep it a little more subtle, a little more together, or you can tear them apart and get a great kick out of them. But the Menace crawl is something that I can fish so many different ways and get so many different bites on. It's just insane. And who don't love a stick bait? Now my 2 favorite stick baits, and not all stick baits are created equal. And I know sometimes you have to go for action, and sometimes you have to go for durability. But my 2 favorites are great examples of each. This is the Gary Yamamoto Senko. The other one is the Yum Dinger. Still great action, but a little more durable is the Yum Dinger. Great action, nowhere near as durable as the Yum Dinger is the Yamamoto Senko. But my 2 favorites right there, and you can do so much with them. And you can't go without a shaky head worm. My 2 favorites are the Zoom Trick Worm and the Zoom Magnum Trick Worm. These two baits have caught me a bunch of fish. I mean, all year. You've seen me catch some on Cumberland with these. And my go-to color, Green Pumpkin Magic. To be honest with you, that's my go-to color when it comes to the stick baits too. Just great little worms right here. It's always good to have a straight tail worm, whether you're Texas rigging it and dragging it through brush piles, or you're hopping it around, shaking it around on a shaky head, or even a drop shot. Last but not least, a Ned rig, and this is my favorite color, and it's from Nico. This is one of my other favorite colors. I think this is called Fusion, one of my very favorite colors. We caught a ton of bass on these during the smallmouth spawn earlier in the year. These are great any time of year. You guys know it. You know, of course, like I said, the Nicos, man, they're indestructible. A great color that they never see. This one right here, trust me, throw it. I know it's a crazy color, but there's just some days when they will flat out eat the paint out of the middle of it. And earlier this year, again, during the smallmouth spawn, the AM Dawn color by this local guy that makes them, and it'll be in the description, but the AM Dawn color is money in the spring. Next up is going to be from Yum, the FF Sonar Minnows. Guys, these things are amazing. Great colors. Love this color right here. This is the JC Natural Shad. And this one, I'll just be honest with you, I don't remember what it is, but these are my two favorite colors right here. These little bad boys can be tight lined. You can fish them. I know a lot of people are like, hey, you can fish these for forward-facing sonar, but the truth is, throw these out there and fish them and shake them when you're on the ponds, when you're in a lake by yourself. If you know there's some sort of shad or bait fish around, these things are going to get bit. We're going to do a tight liner video where I show you how to do that, but these little straight tails get destroyed even when you put them on a small underspin. They are money. Next up is the Stinky Gulp Minnow. Now, I was watching some of the pros, and what I found very funny when they had the up north big sonar, forward-facing sonar tournaments for smallmouth, I seen these. Nobody talks about them, nobody tells you about them, but the good old Gulp Minnow. They stink and the bass love them. This is a little bigger size, but that is another trick during the post-spawn, immediate post-spawn, upsize your baits. Get away from those, you know, 2.5, 3.5 inches. Get up to those 3.5, 4.5 inches in that range. And these things right here will get you bit when nothing else will. The Mickey. We can't talk about the minnow baits without talking about the original Mickey Armor Shad. You'll notice I've got two different sizes here, and the biggest reason I've got two different sizes is this right here. When you're around bigger shad, this 5-inch is flat out money. You've seen that work in a video earlier this year, but the Armor Shad, and they are going to play every winter. But these minnow baits are not just for guys using forward-facing sonar. So make sure you stay tuned. These things are going to get you big bites when it is in the toughest situations. Now these little baits right here really aren't that special until you team them up with the BR head, which we'll talk about during terminal tackle. And then these baits have been crushing it for us. Because one side is rounded and oval and the other side is flat, when you team it up with that BR head, these BR fish from Duo will walk the dog. And they will walk the dog. I've done it down to 20 and 30 feet thus far. These baits are incredible. It's a new technique called gliding, winding. I like the word gliding because it's really not walking the dog. Walking the dog implies that it's a short action. These things are walking 3 foot wide. It is phenomenal what these baits do. I've got a how-to, you really need to watch it. It's something incredible. And trust me, again, this is not just forward-facing sonar. You can catch bass doing this at any depth level. Next up is this little bait right here. This is the Double Trouble from J Bros Lures. This is one of my very favorite little baits. I love, because a lot of baits will turn those tails down that way. I love that they got them in the right position. This little bait is incredible. It is a nice little bait with some great tail action and a great little durable body. This is the net bait flat-sided shad. Now it makes a great drop shot, and it is a little bit of a pain to put ball head jig in or something like that because it is so flat, but man, have I caught a ton of fish on this great ghost color this year. A little bit longer, got a great tail action, just a great looking little bait, and we have caught a bunch of bass in some of the clearest water on this little bait this summer. Ramsey's baits. These are the bigger swim baits. These are what I like to use, and I'm going to show you a reason why. Now, my favorite color when I'm in clear water is this right here. This is Ghost Shad. You can see it is super translucent. But what I love about this bait during the summertime is you can see how flat this body is. Now, during the summertime, bait fish will move extremely tight. They have a nice tight wiggle even when they're darting away, so they don't have a huge tail wobble. They're not moving real slow, and that's what you get with a flat side. It's a very subtle head wobble and very subtle action. Good tight action with this, even though these baits are extremely soft. Several different lures. I love the Ramsey baits. They make that particular version in two sizes. This is the 5-inch or 5.5 inch, and the other is like the 3.5 inch or 3.75, something like that. Next up is going to be a super finessey bait. This is the Damiki Armor Shad Paddle Tail. These baits are super soft, extremely small little baits. I'm telling you, these things are money when they're keyed in on those shad fry or those first of the year, those yearling shad that they're keyed in on right now. I love these little baits. It's basically a Damiki Armor Shad, but as a swim bait. You geeks have seen it, you know it. This is the Nico Winnow. You know, in the last video I did on how to use these things, a lot of guys were like, I'm not paying that much for this bait. Trust me, you pay that much for these baits and you might not ever need another daggone bait again, all right? These things are crazy durable. You can catch 100 bass on these things. But they are not only crazy durable, but they have some great action that we show you in some underwater footage in that video. So these puppies work. I mean, look how soft that bad boy is. Now, I like these style baits, your ribbed style baits, as we get into cold water because they are so soft. Plastic stiffens as you get into cold water. You want it to be able to move at slow speeds, and that means you need a super soft bait. A bait that has been killing it for me this fall, the Kitech Easy Shiner. Now, I think this is the 3.5 inch version, which is about the biggest I'll go with these. I've been actually throwing the 3-inch versions, and I even have some of the, I think they're like 2.5 inch versions, but they are an incredible little bait, very, very subtle, very, very soft, and they've just been getting the job done for me. We're going to talk about terminal tackle now, and one of my favorite things to throw, especially this time of year, is the old A-rig. And I love to throw a finesse A-rig. So this is the Dayton Boat Dock, the Baby TN rig. Again, links in the description for all this. And this is their standard, so a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. But the finesse in the fall and late winter is a great little A-rig to throw. Something that I talk about all the time, and I think it is one of the most versatile heads out there, and that is a good old mushroom head. And I love Angler Tungsten's mushroom heads. Now, what's great about them is that they come in black and chartreuse, and one of my favorite colors, which is this green. It matches up to a lot of swim baits that I like to throw and a lot of the minnow baits that I like to throw. What else is great about it is that on the bottom, now it's a little small, you might, if you get to be my age, you might have to get your reading glasses out, but it actually tells you what the size is on the head. So if you get those mixed up, it's printed right on the bottom. So, you know, like I said, I use this for swim baits, minnows, Ned rigs. There's so many different things you can do with this one little tungsten head, and it shows up much better than most of the lead heads when it comes to the forward facing sonar. Now, we just talked about A-rigs, and I know in Tennessee you're only allowed to throw 3 hooks on an A-rig, but a lot of times I like to be able to fish that A-rig deeper, and just having hitchhikers on there really isn't an option. I mean, yeah, it'll work, it's fine, but I can also use these. These are the Picasso trailers or weighted hitchhikers. I don't remember what they call them again. Links in the description, you'll see it. But they're by Picasso. These are the 1/8 ounce, which is my favorite size to put on the top 2 wires. One of the things that I put in anybody's hand that jumps in a boat with me is this little underspin right here. Now, this is a heavier underspin. It's a 1/2 ounce, but it is a smaller hook. I think that's a 3/0. I love the screw lock keeper. I love the wire. I love to bend that down, get it away from the body a little bit. So if you're throwing a little fatter swim bait, it works great. This is from Ledgehead Lures. This is called the Tennessee River Bling, and it absolutely is one of my very favorite underspins. Now, we talk about underspins. One of my favorite things to come out here in the past year or two is this by First Gen. This is called the Top Spin. It's got a very flexible wire. It's got a really unique action to it, and I love to throw this, especially when they've seen that underspin a lot. Fish it out there deep, man, you can get some great bites on this little bait. Next up, and you know, this is a head. I don't know if this is technically terminal tackle, but this and the regular pulse jig. So the skirted pulse jig and the regular pulse jig, 2 of my favorite things to fish in early spring and during late fall and winter. And the reason why is because it's a subtle action. And what's great about these things is when they're chasing shad on the surface, these bad boys, the way they're designed, the way the head is designed, they won't blow out when you reel them as fast as you possibly can. A lot of the other scrounger style baits, they won't do that. When it comes to my BASSGEEK style, my bigger 5-6 inch swim baits, my hollow bellies, my hollow bodies, you know, just my bigger soft plastic swim baits, there's no better head on the market than this. This is a Ledgehead Lures Ledgehead. It has an oversized spring, so you're going to be able to get into those BASSGEEK style swim baits, those hollow body swim baits. It's not just going to go through this little tiny piece of plastic and tear the nose out. The run right arm, or you know, a lot of people call this a keeper, but it's really not. What it does is it pokes up through the bottom, and the top of those baits can tear all day, but this is going to keep that bait running true. It really saves you money in those hollow body style Shadowlicious, BASSGEEKs. There's another one out there that I cannot think about what it is. But these baits also, because they have the weight down to the bottom, have a great head wobble. Great swim bait. When it comes to those baits, I will not use anything else. A belly weight hook. Now this is a 1/16, but I love a belly weighted hook in a lot of my soft plastic jerk baits because I can get them down deeper. If you guys haven't seen the video where I take out one of my buddies, Shane, he was throwing one in a 1/8 ounce, and he was clocking some good sized fish, just letting it drop into these schools we were chasing around. This is the Gamakatsu. This is the Super Line EWG. They're the belly weighted. There's a lot of good ones out there, but this is just the one that I've been using forever and a day. These two little, I call them, or this genre of jig heads, I call these spin heads, okay? Now, this is called the screw head. It is the Okashira screw head by Megabass. Now, I love these. These are great heads. They have a great action to them, and it's because of that offset blade, all right? If you look at that blade, you'll know why it's got a great little vibration to it. These are the Destroyer jar heads. He makes these in a ton of different sizes. I cannot find these style spin heads anywhere else, and they are both pretty incredible, and really have been doing a ton of work for me mid to late year thus far, and I think they'll shine all through the winter. So now we're going to talk about, you can call them minnow bait heads, Damiki heads, finesse swim bait heads. One of my favorite, and a great one again, is the one by Pulse Fish Lures. This is theirs. I think Matt Airy helped them design this little head. Love the screw lock keeper. Love the eyes. This is a great little jig head. This is the Damiki. Now, this is a lead head. It's designed really specifically for the armor shad, the armor shad paddle tail, but you can use it for a lot of different good baits. It is great. It comes in a lot of different sizes. I love their underspin too, but I don't have any currently. You've seen me catch a ton of fish on this. I love that flat side. The weight is on the bottom. Really well balanced head, and I love the eyes too. Last but not least, probably my favorite swim bait or Damiki or minnow, whatever you want to call it. This thing does a ton of stuff, and that is the Eclipse head from Angler Tungsten. This is a tungsten head. This is a 1/2 ounce head, so you can see it very well on the forward facing sonar. But along with that 1/2 ounce head is really small. Let me show you a little comparison. This head is lead, and it's a 3/8 ounce head. Compare it to a 1/2 ounce. A 1/2 ounce is very much bigger than this. So I like the subtlety of how this goes to the bait, along with being able to see it on my forward facing sonar. Last but not least, when it comes to terminal tackle, we got to talk about line. This is K9. You guys know I love K9. I'm telling you right now, you know, you can just look at the size on the back. This is their 100% fluorocarbon, so they're Pro 100. This is my favorite line. It's the most dependable line. It is incredible. You should check it out. Now, I will tell you, their braid, for you guys that love braid, you crappie anglers out there, they make the best braid and the best crappie braid that there is on the market. This is fluoro. Let me clear up some confusion. This is not fluorocarbon. This is a copolymer, and it is one of the things that I love to use for moving baits, horizontal baits, spy baits, spinner baits, chatter baits, anything, crankbaits, lipless crankbaits. That is what I like, because it's got just a little bit of stretch, and it really helps. So it's not stretchy like mono. If you want low stretch, bottom bouncing, you know, maybe some swim baits, that sort of stuff, this is what I use it for. The 100% Pro 100, 100% fluorocarbon. Now, I fish a lot of clear water, so I don't throw braid a whole lot, but one application I do use their braid for, two, is flipping when I'm around grass. The other is on my spinning reels, and their braid is wound so tight that I use 20-pound pink line because I can see it better than the yellow. Trust me, you can see it better than you see the yellow, but it's wound so tight that I can cast the exact same as anybody else using 10-pound braid. It's phenomenal. All right, geeks, so now we're going to talk about accessories. And man, do I have something when it comes to accessories for you kayakers, for you 10 boaters, for you small boats, you older boats. Avid Angler Solutions kits, and he's running on his website a $10 discount code off of these kits. And what's great about these kits is this is the small kit. It comes with the scissors, the marker. I'm telling you guys, best marker. I mean, it is hands down the best. The glue is above and beyond what you're going to get with some super glue, and of course a good pair of needle nose pliers. Now this is a small kit. The big kit comes with a hook sharpener, everything else you see here, a Phillips head screwdriver, a straight screwdriver, and like I said, everything else that's in here. But if you've got a small boat or a kayak, this is the deal. You don't even have to drill holes. Now you can, there's spots for it, but it comes with Velcro, and that Velcro has been in my boat in some rough waters, and that thing has not budged. The scissors are super sharp, they cut braid, but a $10 off per kit. GEEK-KIT to get $10 off the kit. That's a great deal. And you can get glue for $5 on his website. So just remember, the codes for $10 off the kits only work at avidanglersolutions.com. Links will be in the description. Follow those, it'll get you there. I'll put the codes down there too. Now, something that you'll see, especially because I fish a lot of clear water, and I love these on my spoons, I love these on some of my swim baits that I get, my bigger, harder swim baits, are these right here. These are the crank wraps. These are the spoon wraps. Gizzard shad is a big one for me, and that's what that is right there. You can cut them down, use them on anything you want. There's a rainbow trout in the swim bait colors. Here's some crankbait colors. I love these. These are incredible. I love to throw a big spoon. I love to throw a big spoon around and over shad balls, and I love to throw it around and over deep brush piles. You can catch some big bass doing that. But in clear water, you almost have to have your crank wraps. Two more accessories that I really love, and one, you guys have seen me use this forever. This is called Smelly Jelly, and it is the XXX, the only one I'll use, shad. I put this on all my minnows, all my swim baits. It is an incredible tool. When they come up and hit them, most of the time they come back and eat it after they put a little smelly jelly on there. The other bait scent that I like is, of course, bait fuel. I've got big into using this. I've never really been a big scent guy, but thus far, I'm impressed with both of these. Now, when it comes to accessories, there's one company that I have been with for a while, something that I wouldn't live without, and that is my Boat Effects steps. Now, this holds the big murk up while I'm driving down the road, and I love it. It's one simple little deal, in, out, it is done. They make so many accessories, I can't even cover them. It'd be a video in and of itself. Again, I do have a code so that you can use to go get that. The biggest accessory that I can tell you guys that you really need, and I've had this boat worked on at a couple different marine dealers, and everybody is impressed with these two things. The Boomer step, which is the step that goes on the tongue. And to answer your question, yes, I do have a fold-away tongue. Yes, it does still work. This is a very wide step that allows you good footing. The steps themselves are incredible. And then you can get, and I know I don't have these yet, but they have the aluminum steps that they've also come out with, and they are beautiful because you can match the color of your boat or your trailer or whatever you want to do. They've got the foam. I like to fish barefoot. Some of you guys may have noticed in some videos, especially this year, I love flops, but I can't wear them. I used to work on the railroad. I had a little accident, and I don't have a big toe anymore, so that sucks. I love their graph mounts. They lock, and yes, even for, and I might be spilling the beans here. I don't know if I should even talk about this. I'm not sure if they're out yet because they haven't sent me any. For the Garmins, they have these incredible locking bars that keep it from just taking the head unit off. They've got the deck plugs where your seats go. Man, they make everything. It's all made in the USA. Go support those guys. Next up is my foresight. This is my forward-facing sonar mount. It removes super easy. One little screw. We did a video on it. You guys need to go check this thing out. What I love about this is there's times of the year when I want my transducer on my trolling motor, and there's times of the year and ways I'm fishing that I want my transducer on an independent pole. This gives me the best of both worlds. It's got scan features on it. You can speed it up, you can slow it down. It's got a great heavy duty foot pedal. This thing gives you the best of both worlds. It's super durable. You can store it in one of your rod lockers out of the way. I love my foresight. Last but not least, when it comes to accessories, I guess we could call the boat the accessory. I mean, look, we're filming today, so what a mess we've got. That's the cameraman Mike back there. He's back there cleaning my mess up. He's been a godsend coming out here, helping us make these videos better. Of course, the Mercury, the power poles, which are down right now. Like I said, this boat has been incredible. The Garmins, I love my Echo Maps, those Ultras, those 12s. Love my Plus, and I'm telling you, this Garmin Force, if you're looking for a new trolling motor, I can't sing the praises of this. I have not used the Lowrance, but I have used the Minn Kotas and the others, and this thing is incredible. It would plane out the old Triton, I'm telling you right now. Like I said, boat effects, amped. I cannot leave out Amp. He has done a lot of stuff for me for the old Triton. Ashmore Marine Products, those are the stomp stations, which I love. And like I said, my Garmin's, man. I mean, anybody who thinks Garmin can't compete with anybody else, I'm telling you right now, they're getting blanking paid to tell you that. I run Humminbirds for years, I run Lowrance for years, and I have never been happier than I am with my Garmin's. They work. That is, I cannot stress this enough. I have talked to 100 different marine dealers, and every single one of them, I haven't talked to 100. I talked to 3 before I went with Garmin, and all of them specifically said to me, look, Garmin just works. You can put 3 of any other brand on, and one of them will never work right, and I can testify to that. So can a lot of my buddies. These Garmins are incredible. I'll take you out for a boat ride and let you look at them anytime you want. All right. As always, questions and comments in the comment section below. You geeks know I love to talk about fishing with you. Like it if you like it. I hope the Bass Geek Buyer's Guide for a better bass angler Christmas, or whatever we called it. This is your deal right here, guys. If you need ideas for Christmas, send this to your significant others. One-stop shop right here. All right. As always, 100% Watch Squad, I love you, and you geeks rock.